Crypto Hotep here with another trading video. Guys, this is another market update, a crypto market update. And if you're unfamiliar with these videos, once a week I do these crypto market updates, just showcasing economic events that have happened in the week, because normally we record this in the middle of the week, and then economic events to look forward to towards the end of the week. And then we just look at some charts, because I am a chart guy through and through, do some technical analysis, and then we cover our ever-running altcoin portfolio that we are still invested in. And again, if you're unfamiliar with the way I trade, go to my channel and go to the videos that say my trading strategy. There's one video that has over 2,000 views, seems to have been really liked. So that gives you a snapshot or a quick synopsis on how I trade the markets. We are primarily long-term / position traders, and all we do is look at the weekly time frames and use Heikin Ashi candlesticks along with support and demand and supply and resistance. So we'll showcase that shortly. Big shout outs to Coinbase, who sponsors the videos. Per usual, I've used them for over 6 years now, and I wouldn't use anybody else. If you don't have a Coinbase account, there's a link in the description. If you do have a Coinbase account, use the link in the description as well, because if you use that link, even if you have an account, they'll basically pay a portion of the transaction fees that they charge you for trading with them to me. So you don't have to reach into your back pocket. You don't have to send me any Bitcoin, any ETH, nothing, and you would be supporting that channel. And last but not least, if these videos resonate with you, spread the word. Tell your friends. Spread or share the video, retweet it, comment, like, and subscribe, guys. But by no means is this financial advice. I always like to put that disclaimer out. But for the economic events, we'll jump in here, guys. So we are on week of March 16th, 2026. And we did have several volatile events that happened, particularly today. So if we look at Monday, though, Monday was fairly quiet. Now, when I go over these events, I'm going over events that I typically pay attention to. Now, there are some people that pay attention to everything. I don't do that. Okay, I'm looking for high impact events that's going to make some noise and stuff that I typically will not turn a blind eye to. So New York Empire State Manufacturing Index, some people live and die by this. I don't. This really doesn't pique my interest. So this did happen Monday. We also had an employment change weekly. There was really nothing that happened with that. The change was only in the 9,000s. That's not a huge deal. We had crude oil stock change. Again, I don't really pay attention to that. The most important thing that I normally pay attention to are the FOMC and the Fed interest rate. So Fed interest rate was today. Okay, so FOMC, this was today, and Fed interest actually took a pause, and they have not changed the interest rate. So the interest rate stays at 3.75%. Now, if you're unfamiliar with the interest rates are what the rates are charged to the bank to loan out that money. Okay. So, you think about it like this, and I try to make this very easy for you. So if you have a Fed interest rate that's high, normally expect that it's going to be higher to borrow money from the bank, but you'll also have a higher APY for your high yield savings account. Now, if the opposite happens and the rates decrease, now you're going to have a lower interest rate, so less costly to borrow money. That's a good thing. However, your sitting cash in your high yield savings account now also goes down. So it's a double whammy there. You have to really watch what you're doing. So that's typically when we do reduce rates. Normally we want rates to be reduced, because the thought process, if you're an investor or trader, is if the interest rates are reduced, sitting cash in the high yield savings account is reduced, then that means that people will usually use cash and rotate that into something that can get a higher return. Stocks, crypto, ETFs, that type of thing. Right. So to long story short here, we kept it the same. The markets knew that was going to happen though. Okay. The big fireworks usually happens with Jerome Powell in the Fed press conference. I believe he did mention some things about there was somewhat of a split. There wasn't really any move towards doing anything on the interest rate. And I think one of the bigger things is he said that he would be the temporary step in for Fed chair if the new Fed chair wasn't confirmed. That's huge. Okay, so because who knows what he could do, even if he's the temporary step in for the Fed chair. So big thing here. Tomorrow is initial jobless claims. The consensus is 215. Our previous reading was 213. So hoping we can get somewhere below the 215 range. That would be good. And on Saturday, Jerome Powell has a speech here. So something to keep an eye on here. Not really sure what that's going to be about. Now let's go to the coin market cap. So coin market cap will go to our market overview. So our market overview, we are, in terms of the fear and greed index, we have bumped up dramatically. So we are in the fear, we're still in fear. But you'll see here to my right, this graph here, we bumped up considerably from extreme fear, and we hit that 30-40 range in fear. And now we've, or 30-40 range in, where is that at? That 30-40 range in the fear and greed index in near neutral feeling, only to get pushed down to fear. A very good sign though, and not bad at all. So we still like to see this. Okay. Altcoin season index. How are we looking? We're looking a little bit good here if you hold altcoins. Why? Well, if you've been following this channel, most of the time when we go over this cursor is normally in Bitcoin season. It's normally in the orange here. We've moved to the halfway point. That's probably the farthest I've seen it gone in a while. You can see here also that both of the altcoin line, which is a dark blue, and then the Bitcoin season line here, we can see that those are essentially crossing right now. Okay, so just something to keep in mind, guys. So we, again, nothing's set in stone right now, but everything's looking good in terms of an alt season. Okay, the more that this number here trends up, the more likelihood that an altcoin season will return. Okay, Bitcoin dominance, and we'll look at this at the charts. Bitcoin dominance is still below 60%. I'm good with that. I am good all day with that. We do want to see Bitcoin dominance under that 60%. Crypto ETFs, we did have a negative outflow on March 17th. Okay, so we had a negative outflow of negative 44 million. So negative 26 million in BTC, negative 18 million in ETH. Okay, but that was after a couple days of steady gains in crypto ETF net flows in. Okay, so it seems like there's just been a little bit of a breather here. A lot of uncertainty as to what's happening though with Iran, the conflict overseas, and then just that alone in regards to the rates being unchanged, even though we did price them in, rates being unchanged. Jerome Powell with the somewhat of a shocking pressure announcement of him potentially staying on for a little while as the new Fed chair gets confirmed. Those things, again, markets don't really like the unknown. So that's why we see a little bit of uncertainty and a little bit of a negative outflow here. Another thing, we'll get into the charts here. If we go to the dollar, here, we can see here that the dollar is pushing up past that 99 supply and resistance line. Okay, so it hasn't broke above it as of yet. Okay, we are trading above it, but we haven't fully broken above it yet. So this could essentially retrace and start trading down here, which is what we would like to do for the dollar. Okay, this purple line is your 50-week moving average, and it still hasn't closed above that either. The line above is a 200-week moving average. Okay, and if we look here on the slow stochastic, we are reaching oversold territory on the dollar as well, very similar to what happened in November 2025. Okay, let's go to stable coins. Stable coins look very good. So first up is USDT. So USDT, as of right now, this is what you want to see if you're holding alts. Okay, we have basically two weekly levels of supply and resistance here, one at 8.14% and one at 8.76% for USDT. We see a harsh rejection. We have a long wick here that went through both of these levels but didn't close above it. Again, that's a key point in all this. The candle bodies did not close above this yet. So ever since then, we've just had long wicks through and through. Again, we have oversold territory, just like the dollar. And now we finally have seen some red candles. This is what we like to see. So we did have a bump up though. This today, there was a bump up, and both stable coins, USDT and USDC, they did have some pretty bullish moves. Nothing to be too worried about because we still have about 4 days left in the cycle. But they did have some bullish moves there. But for me, this is something that I like to see. We like to see a bullish doji, which signifies that buying pressure has slowed down. And then that's followed by a bearish doji, which means the sellers potentially could step in. And then that's followed by this nice candlestick right here to the downside. Okay, that's what you like to see. USDC, very similar story. Okay, so 61.8%. I preached this week in and week out. If you follow these, 61.8, watch 61.8. And as you can see here, a long wick right through it, long wicks through it, but no candlestick body above it. Again, nothing closed above it yet. And what happened? Now we have a bearish looking doji-like candle right here. Again, bullish moves today, right? But it's only 1 day, so we'll see what happens tomorrow. Okay. Let's go to BTC dominance. So Bitcoin dominance, we said it was below 60%, and that's what it is currently. So we had a bunch of accumulation around 59%. This blue box here is accumulation. All that means is price or percentages are going up and down and up and down. It's just staying in a nice little box. Well, we finally dipped down into the 58% Bitcoin dominance territory, and now we're retesting this 59% level right here. And let me just bring this right here. So we're retesting this level right here, and it's still viable. So this level is still viable. It's still showing interest in buyers, but we haven't reclaimed it yet for Bitcoin dominance. What I would like to see is I would like to see this. This is what I would like to see. That come up, retest, rejection, and push down. That's what I would like to see. Okay. I mentioned this several months ago, but again, too early. So that's what I would like to see. Okay. Let's go to ETH BTC and start talking about altcoins. ETH BTC, it showed pretty good. I say pretty good because we got to be very careful with these candlesticks right here. So I'm going to move this up just a little bit so you can see. So we have 50, 61.8, right? Fib golden zone is right here. We've had, if you follow the channel, I've said this week in and week out on the channel. I got the receipts. As long as price and the wick of price stay in close contact to this area is still viable. Okay, so this area is still of interest. And guess what happened this week? Boom. We have a nice green candle right here. Now, there's still 4 days left in the cycle still, so anything could happen. This is good showing, but we need it to stay like that, and we need it to close like that as well. So I wouldn't get too happy right now because anything could happen. Okay. Let's look at the total crypto market, because the total crypto market actually doesn't look bad. So this is a very good looking chart here. We have our supply and resistance here at 2.8 and 3.6. And then we have demand and support here near 2 trillion and then 1.75 trillion here. Well, if you look here, we had a little dead cat bounce here, okay, at 2.8 trillion, and then we broke down. That delivered that supply and resistance right here. Now, price has retested this area, this previous level of demand and support, and now we have a bullish doji followed by a nice green candle here, and we're slowly creeping out of this oversold territory right here. Okay, you can see though we have a downtrend here that is trying to break out of. But this current candlestick right here, we are still kind of battling on this downtrend. So you can see this downtrend here, this downtrend channel. We're trying to break free from there. We haven't really completed it yet. Again, we got 4 days left in the cycle, but it does look good in the sense that there are buyers stepping into this area right here, and they want to defend this area. So I like seeing that. Total 3. That is your altcoin market minus BTC, ETH, and stables. Very similar to the total crypto market we just saw. So we have a downtrend. We have your supply and resistance, your support and demand, reaction off of your demand, and it's right here trying to break away from this downtrend. What I think will happen is we break to the upside, we come back to retest, and people may think it's over and say, yep, that's a dead cat bounce, it's over, but that will trap your bears and then propel us hopefully to the promised land here. Okay. What else we have here? Actually, let's look at coin, because coin actually looks okay. So coin looks fantastic. Coinbase's stock, 3 green soldiers, that's a bullish pattern. So 3 green soldiers playing out perfectly right now. Playing out perfectly. Despite the dip in crypto right now, it is playing out perfectly. We had a nice rejection here off of demand. As you can see, price steadily decreased in volume. So we continued to sell from October 2025, and we've slowed the selling. We slowed it to a bearish doji here, and that's when the buyers came in. 1, 2, 3. This is the 200-week moving average as usual here, but it is a very good sign when your bullish reaction, when you have a reaction like that from demand and support. So this is very good. And then if you look at the slow stochastic here, the slow stochastic has successfully broken out of being oversold right there. That looks good. So Coinbase stock looks very good, and 241, 242, that's the nearest target. Let's go to the king. We got Bitcoin here. Bitcoin doesn't look bad, and I'll tell you why. So Bitcoin does not look bad at all. We had a downtrend, again, reaction off of a previous demand / support level right here. And then we have a bearish doji followed by a bullish doji. In addition to that, guess what this blue line is? Yep, you guessed it. That's your 200-week moving average again. Here it comes, 200-week moving average. Hopefully we can have this act as a trampoline, which will have price bouncing off of this back over 90K. What I truly believe is going to happen is I believe that price is going to may do a little bounce. We may get a little happy, and then unfortunately we're going to come back down. So we come back down, retest this 62, 60 area or so, and then we'll push back up. That kind of makes the most sense for me, because normally Bitcoin doesn't want to give it to you just fairly quickly. It's going to pretend like it's going up, and then it'll come back down, retest the area of interest, and then boom, go back up. Somewhat like a double bottom pattern. That's what I'm thinking. ETH actually does not look bad at all. So ETH looks pretty good. And if you follow these videos, all of this is probably repeat because I've said this last week. So we had ETH price coming below this demand area of 2200. I said at that point, I'm not taking this demand level off because there are wicks that are trying to touch it, and price is just kind of staying around in this area. It's not declining. It's not declining like this, right? So again, price stayed in this area and then it declined, right? It hasn't declined yet. So it hasn't fully rejected that area yet. So it's currently retesting it. So let me move this pattern up. So it's retesting this area right now of 2200. We have to close above that level for me to get happy. So other than that, it's kind of just waiting and seeing. It looks good, but you know, everything could look good until it's not. So I do like seeing bullish pressure on ETH. I do like seeing that. And then last but not least, let's go to the trades that we are in. Let's start with NEAR. NEAR looks good. 3 green soldiers right here from demand. You love to see it. We still have to break this downtrend. Here. We haven't come across it yet. So I'm expecting a potential rejection. It's very similar to what I mentioned with Bitcoin. A rejection probably around this area, maybe back down into here. Everybody thinks it's over, and then boom, we propel in like a double bottom type of situation, somewhat like this. But we hopefully will break this level of supply and resistance here. I've yet to buy anything else for NEAR. We are still holding. Okay. Graph actually looks okay. Doesn't look great, but it looks okay. And the reason I say it looks okay is because we finally see some green. We see some green. It's been several months. It's been since January, and finally see some greenish candles. Okay, we still have to close out the week, but this is very encouraging. And I think I mentioned this last week. I said 0.025 looks to be somewhat of the bottom. Looks like price is trying to base around that level. And then boom, we have a little green candle right here. So again, nothing is set in stone. I'm not getting too happy about this. And we haven't even bought anything yet because based on our rules, right, we don't just buy on the first green candle. We wait for a retest or a reclaim before we do that buying. And what I mean is if price does base out here and then it jumps up, I would wait for a retest of this 0.25 area, okay, because it would leave a demand level right here. So this is what I mean. So if price jumps up, 3 candlesticks to the upside, it's gonna leave a nice demand level for it to come back, retest, and then that's when I would load up on some graph. Now, if I don't get that and price says, hey, Crypto Hotep, we're out of here, and it just goes up, then I would ask, hey, I need to see price close above this level of resistance and reclaim 4 cents right here. And then I may add something at 4 cents. Okay. Uniswap doesn't look good. Doesn't look really good to me right now. Again, we'll wait, but you have long wicks that's retesting $4 and it's being rejected very tremendously. So again, $4 is holding strong as resistance. And all this was demand that turned from demand to supply, or support to resistance, whatever you want. This was support, and then it turns into resistance when it retests it, and it hasn't reclaimed $4 yet. It's just pushing towards it. So nothing too happy about that as of yet. Okay. C, there's nothing going on with C. We're still battling here, and again, we're still trying to see any green candles. Yet to see any green candles for C. Yet to see any type of basing or bottoming out in price for C. Just nothing to do yet with C, unfortunately. Last but not least, we have Aerodrome. So Aerodrome, very similar to which coin was that? Very similar to NEAR, where we have a break below a supply, or sorry, a break below a demand support level here of around 0.40 cents. So this is a level of interest. And again, I mentioned this last week. We're not going to take the demand level off. Why? Because there's long wicks that are going through it. That's an area of interest still. So we're going to wait. We'll wait. We'll see if it reclaims 40 cents, and then we can add some more aerodrome if it does. But we're just kind of chilling out, just waiting and sitting on our hands. Okay. And then let's go to our portfolio. So our portfolio is seeing a little uptick here. So we're seeing a little green now. We got about 4% 1 month, 4% gain on a 1 month return, negative 14.8% gain on a 3 month return, but that has closed. Okay. And then 6 month, we have a negative 47.9% on a 6 month return, and that's completely fine. These numbers have actually shrunk. So our top position is USD, which for me, it's USDC, and I'm actually earning Bitcoin for holding my USDC in Coinbase, which is good. Then it's followed by Uniswap. Overall, Uniswap has generated, and again, none of these positions have been sold, but unrealized gains of negative 46.07%, followed by NEAR at negative 43.7%, Aerodrome at a negative 56.02%, C at a negative 68.77%, and then Graph, one of the worst of them all, still at a negative 72.3%. So as always, guys, if these videos were helpful at all, with you looking at the markets, looking at things, looking at events, also knowing that, hey, we're still holding these coins. And you know what's funny is I'm holding these coins as well because crypto moves very fast. Around September, I think it was September or October, I looked back at the portfolio, and the portfolio was up over, I believe it was up over 150%. So it's very quick. Crypto moves very quick. So, these numbers could scare the average investor. But again, this is just kind of an average week for crypto, folks. So as always, guys, if these videos were helpful, feel free to like, subscribe, comment, let me know what you think. And as always, thank you and happy trading, guys.